Hello, my name is Tom Beal, and if you're watching this on Omar Martin's profile, do not adjust the dial. You are in for a special treat. As mentioned, my name is Tom Beal, and I am the MC of Commission Expo, coming to Orlando, Florida, September 25th through 29th, and you want to be there. One of our special guests who also is going to be entertaining us and making us laugh is our guest today, the one and only Ian Stanley. Ian, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to go to Orlando.
Absolutely. It's going to be a blast. And Omar was filling me in, and he tried holding back his laughs as he was explaining what you do and how you do. So I kind of tease people that you're going to be part of the entertainment on one day, but then also going to be speaking on stage the following day. So, you know, when he shared what you do, it kind of made me think like, I don't see how there's any narcissism or any funny things that internet marketers do.
Right? Yeah, no, how could you possibly make fun of internet marketers? Yeah, those parody videos have been sort of taken on a life of their own. It's been really interesting. It was actually funny because Omar, he thought I was like a comedian trying to make it as a marketer. I was like, no, it's more the other way around.
Right. You just seen the comedy. You seen the comedy of all the things in the marketing world as you're a marketer yourself and making
exactly.
That's a riot.
I've been targeted by all the ads. I've seen all the stuff.
Right. Yeah, I'm super pumped for that. And that's part of the combination of value that you're going to get. So we're going to have Ian, who's going to give some great insights on how and what he's doing to help you grow your commissions, as well as the other speakers. But as you heard, we also like to have fun. So Ian's going to be there, going to be breaking it up, taking this fun thing that we do marketing, kind of having us look at it from that perspective. But Ian, for people that maybe haven't been to a live event or are considering going to this, how can you share with them the power of pressing flesh, the power of being at the live event, laughing with you on the first day, and then learning from you the day after? How important is that?
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the things that's grown my career, so I'd started out as a copywriter, and I worked with two different companies for a bit and sold a whole lot of stuff for them. And then I basically was a freelance copywriter after that, and I started making significantly more for myself when I started doing that. And the reason, like, the company that I was with, basically running all the marketing, writing the copy, and I was the face of the company as well. We had this water filter that I would do these videos drinking out of toilets, and we were doing about 18 million a year at that point. And we when I left, I'd had all these contacts from the people that I'd met at all these events and who had a lot of credibility because I'd sold a lot of stuff, and we had a lot of affiliates who had made a whole lot of money with our offers. And so I've found that, this is something that a lot of copywriters and now I teach copy, I teach marketing and sales, and I mainly teach people basically how to make more money from less time while having more fun. And so one of the things I've done is I've had a lot of fun in my business, and the more fun I have, the more money I tend to make. But as far as the meeting people in person, anytime I coach copywriters, which I rarely do now outside of a group setting, it's the best way to meet or to get clients and to meet people that are going to pay you is to meet them in person. As much as we're connected over the internet these days, there's nothing as valuable as shaking someone's hand, having a drink with them, having that experience. I can trace every client I've had as a freelancer back to someone I either met at a conference or someone I met who introduced me to someone that they knew. And there's just a huge value in that. And especially if you're an affiliate and you're coming, which is, I think a lot of the people there will be, you never know if one person has an offer that's going to convert on your list, or they have the list and they're going to promote your offer, you can pay for the ticket in one day. So that's how I always see events. It's so easy to have an ROI because one little relationship and you've made your money back. And so it's going to be fun for me. It's the first time I've done it exactly like this. I'm actually going to an event this next week where I'm doing stand-up this Sunday night before the event. But basically, and I got the idea from this one, is so I do stand-up comedy as well, and it's something that I'm pursuing more and more. And so I'll be doing about 45 minutes to an hour of stand-up the first night, and then I'll be speaking the next day on my 1-hour workday system and how I've basically built multiple 7-figure companies working rarely more than an hour or so a day. And so I think it'll be fun. This is also a new crowd for me. Like, I don't know how many of the people, normally when I go to traffic and conversion, or I go to these other bigger conferences, I know a lot of the people there. I don't know how many people I'll know. So I'm excited to meet new people and hang out. And I really just think people hide behind their computers, and it's a dangerous thing. It can also be lonely making money online, because especially if you are one of the only ones in your friend group. Like, I had a huge shift in my career when I went from guy writing copy in my underwear at my house to when I had moved to Austin. And now I live in LA, but when I moved to Austin, I decided, I was like, started going to these entrepreneur events, and it totally changed the trajectory of my career, because meeting people in person is so powerful. And also, it's just like, it can be a weird, lonely existence if you're the only one making money online and your friends are like more normal people. So it's like, it's just fun to meet other people doing what you're doing. And it always resets your thermometer on how much money you earn, because you meet people doing way better than you, and you just get inspired and excited, and and you learn.
I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said, and was actually in my mind reflecting, like, yeah, not only is what you said true, like the ROI happens instantaneously with one contact. And yes, you're going to get value from, obviously you heard, my ears perked up. Like, I'm definitely going to listen to the presentation where you have the 1 hour workday that's produced numerous 7-figure businesses. Hello, that's something that you're going to learn from. But you also get to press flesh. You get to break bread. You get to share some drinks and have some laughs with Ian and the others there. And so not only can the ROI be there, but the friendship. And then you hit on the other part, like, in the real world, the results that are being produced online, it's not something you can talk about at the family picnic or the neighborhood, hangout.
Yeah, you tell your friend, "Oh, I made $10,000 yesterday," and they go, "What? You shouldn't be talking about that. Yeah, that's wrong."
Right.
And it's like, that's why it's
Out of their
changes
comfort
so
zone.
much when you're around people who are like, "Oh yeah, me too."
Or
Like,
only 10,000, only 10,000.
right,
You're like, well, how much you making?
you're doing way more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. No, it's a huge shift just in being around those people.
Yep. So and then the other aspect is all of my best friends now came from live events as well, right?
Yeah,
So in this little world, you get to press flesh and meet the people who are understanding of this world that we're in, and that's now who your peers are. And it also goes towards that quote that many of us have heard, which I actually hated when I first got into being an entrepreneur, because I looked around and I was screwed if this quote was true. You're going to be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I was like, if
it's
that's
a
true, I'm
law.
screwed.
And there's no avoiding it. If you look around and all your friends are losers, you're probably a loser. If you look around and all your friends are assholes, you're probably an asshole.
Right.
And it's, I found that when I was starting out, and I'm still, I guess, younger than some of the people, doing really well online. But as far as like when I started at like 20, when I was like 24 or 5, and I'm making, starting to make at that point 6 figures, and my friends, and I was like, I had just gotten a check for $50,000 on top of my amount, and I was like, oh, how do I talk to my friends about this? This is still a problem. Like, what do I do with this money? I need to, but I can't talk to them because they're all making a few grand a month, struggling, and like, it's this weird sort of thing. And so I always, and then I'd have friends, I'd either try and help them grow businesses or different things, but I found that I was always the catalyst in my group. Yep. I was the one pushing forward, and maybe they would, sort of adapt and keep and try and do similar stuff. But it just, at some point, it sort of not outgrew them as people, but it just became hard to relate on some of those pieces. And then I ended up being around at one point. I mean, this was the biggest shift in my income. Was it was technically a job, but I was writing copy and making videos, and I was still I made a deal where I was only in the office 5 hours a day, but which was a lot for me now. But my friends were all making like 10 to 15 to 20,000 a month at the time, and I was making six as a salary or whatever. And I was just like, we'd go out to bars, and I'd be like, I can't pay for all the stuff you're paying for. I was living in a cheap place, and then after a few months, I started to catch up, and then I left my gig, went to freelancing, made way more immediately, and suddenly I passed up all of them except for one, and he was making quite a lot, like doing 6 figures a month at the time. And so I ended up it was just a natural shift. I was going to compete. I was going to come up to where they were, not from like, oh, I don't like you as much if you don't make as much money, or I only like them because of that. We started out as friends, but it just became natural being around them to make more money, because that's what you're surrounded by.
Correct. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. So when I first heard that, I looked around and I was exactly what you said. If you're hanging around with losers, you're probably a loser, right? And I was like, damn, I'm screwed if that quote's true. Now that quote is exactly what you shared. You're hanging around with people that are producing miraculous results. It's just normal that you also produce miraculous results, or what people would term that. And it expands your thinking. What you thought was great I was in the freestyle bicycle genre. So tricks on a bike, until you think of one backflip's great until someone does two backflips. Like, whoa, I didn't know that was possible. Now it
Well,
becomes
in the extreme sports, it's actually one of the most interesting examples because, like, my buddy was the second best wake surfer in the world. And so I was hanging out with him and and his friends, the guy who's number one in the world as well. And they said that it's rapidly grown since Instagram because people started posting their tricks.
Yep.
And what happened is, because even with YouTube, it wasn't quite the same. With Instagram, people started posting their tricks, and you're like, I didn't even think that was a thing. Now suddenly your expansion is growing rapidly because you're seeing what's possible. And they actually, like, extreme sports are growing at a rate as far as the tricks and even the watches or the viewership than any of the sports because they're growing so fast due to people being exposed. Like, if you were a skateboarder 20 years ago, the only time you'd see a new trick was on X Games or on TV. Now it's like this one guy, even if he doesn't complete something, but he does some weird move, you're like, oh, wait, I could do that. And it's like the same thing as, you go to a conference and, I know there's going to be other great speakers there too, and I'm excited to learn from them. And you sit down and you go, oh, wow, that one thing they said, I just made a tweak to my, to my offer that I'm running on cold traffic. And suddenly we got a 38% increase. And now I'm able to spend $4,000 a day instead of $2,000 a day. 100%. And you just know what little thing is going to happen. And that's why I think the tickets aren't crazy expensive.
A couple $100. Yeah. A couple $100. Couple $100.
Yeah. $100. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, like, there's really no excuse not to.
Right.
You can ROI $200 very easily.
And you throw in the flight, you throw in the hotel, you're talking less than what a normal ticket is for a caliber event like this. I mean, you're paying $1,000 or more for
it's really good speakers. Like, I saw the lineup. It's some real old school legends too. People have been doing this since I was probably in elementary school.
You picked up on the X Game thing, and I lived that. I was a national champion as a teenager.
Oh,
but
awesome.
Back is exactly what you talked about. When I was riding, we had Freestyle in magazine, and you had a picture. You saw a picture, and you can't figure out how that whole thing happened. You just see the still shot. When videos came out, VHS at the time, that helped you understand, now I see how it began, how it, processed. And that opened your eyes up, kind of like the 4-minute mile, to say, now I can do it too. And that's exactly what happens in business. So Mike Filsame is going to be speaking at the event. He and I were business partners from 2006 to 2011. When people would come in and watch what we were doing, they'd be like, now I see it. Now I get it. And that's exactly what they're going to be learning from you. And at first, they'll be hearing what you said, a 1 hour a day, 7-figure business, and you've done it numerous times. So for some people, that's miraculous. That's impossible.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's what I teach, start out by, even if it's just adds $1,000 a month for people, it's like, that's still $12,000 a year, which I think we get jaded in this world is like, oh, that's, $1,000 a month doesn't really matter. And then it's for a lot of people, it's life-changing.
Life-changing, yeah.
And so it's like, even if it's just a 6-figure business, I don't assume some people will use the system to create a 7-figure or an 8-figure business or more. And some it'll be, a few grand a month or 10,000 a month or whatever it is. But it is creating a system. And that's what I teach, is basically creating a system that can scale independent of your time. So to scale a business isn't necessarily that hard, but most people do it by increasing the amount of time and work they're putting into things. And I refuse to do that. So basically you have to look at things that are scalable, independent of putting in more time.
Wow. Right. Yeah. And that's, nowadays the buzz is 10X, 10X. Well, if you're producing whatever results you are, do you want to work 10 times harder? Like, not if you're Ian and not if you're
I do parodies of Grant Cardone. I have a character called Can't Gardone. And I say, 10X, like I go the other way, like reverse 10X. How can I do 10 times less and make 10 times more? It's always like, oh, the more I work, the more I make. It's like, well, if hard work actually meant more money, we'd have a lot more rich people.
Yep.
There are plenty of people who work hard who are broke. It's not, there's no correlation. There's no guarantees that hard work makes you rich. There's plenty of hard workers that have never made much money in their lives. And there's no time attachment. People are so attached to time and money. They think time equals money. That's not even true at all. There are people who've spent their entire lives to make $1 million and people who've made $1 billion in a couple of minutes. Yep. So it's, people need to let go of that attachment to time and money in order to have those big breakthroughs. And especially if people have like a full-time job as well, you can't try and build this thing that's going to take a bunch of your time on the side. You've got to build something that you can do in an hour a day or less.
I love this. And ladies and gentlemen, you watching this, you're actually witnessing the power of live events in motion, because prior to this conversation, Ian and I haven't chatted before. So it's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
And I love where you're coming from. That's the same mindset that someone proposed to me, which was counterintuitive, similar to what you said. I was bragging about how hard I was working decades ago. And the guy actually worked with Jim Rohn back in the day when Tony did. And he said, man, don't you have a new son? I said, yeah. He's like, how much time are you spending with your son? I was like, ooh, like a dagger to the heart.
Yeah.
And he said, if you want to impress me, he's like, get the same results in half the amount of time. And it totally fried my mind, because I grew up hard work, hard work, hard work.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. If you want to impress me, get the same results in half the amount of time. So I'm excited to hear what Ian has to say. I'm guessing you, if you're watching this, are super excited to hear it as well. And that's the great part, Ian. You and I have achieved some great results, but we always know there's got to be some small fine tunings or a whole new aha moment that's like, whoa, that wasn't on my front plate. I wasn't even aware of that. Now that one thing can change everything. And who knows, you watching this may have had some mind expanding moments already. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You got to get there. As Ian mentioned, just a couple $100, throw in if you have to fly, throw in if you have to get a hotel. The ROI is not hard to make up. This is not a $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 event. It's a few $100. Get there. Choose to be there. I chose to be at live events years ago. That changed everything about my life, every aspect. And I want that for you. So Ian, if there's people out there and they're like, man, it sounds good, but I haven't got the ticket yet. What can you say that might help them step over that inaction to take action and have it change their life?
Yeah. I mean, the question I like to ask people when they're in that sort of a position is, first off, are you perfectly content with where you are now? Are you making as much money, working the amount of time, and doing the things, more importantly, with your life that you want to be doing? And if the answer is no, which is typically the case, the reality is, in 6 months from now, would you be okay with things being exactly as they are now? And for most people, the answer again is no. And even if you're doing well, there's a desire for growth and to continue to expand. But the reality is, if you don't change things, then things aren't going to change. If you don't make a commitment and make a choice, even for me, like I wasn't doing stand-up when I was living in Austin, and I knew that that's what I'm supposed to do. So we've got to change environments, make a commitment, go for it. I moved to LA. I have plenty of money. I have a great business, but I want to be in the place where the best in the world are. It's either LA or New York when it comes to stand-up. So I'm not just telling people this, I practice what I preach, but you've got to, if you want things to change, you have to change, and you have to make decisions that are going to maybe make you a little uncomfortable, even if it's uncomfortable monetarily to go. But if you're going to wake up in 6 months and things will be exactly the same if you don't change something. And whether that's this event or whatever it is, I would say I highly recommend something like this. And I'll be at this event, so I can tell you that I think the speakers will be very good, and it'll be a lot of fun to do stand-up and get to know people there. So, and especially at this price, I mean, that's just crazy, right? I haven't been to an event for less than a couple thousand, in a while. Most of these events are so much more expensive. So I think it's a great event to go to, especially at that price point.
Yep, absolutely. 100% agree. And love the fact that you are living your, you made the recipe that you share with others, but you're actually eating from that recipe too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a bold move. I mean, to follow your dream, why would we want to suppress those dreams? You're actually following it, and you move from Austin to LA, like you said, to be congruent with that dream. Hey, I'm going for this, all in. I'm all in. Let's make this happen. So congratulations for living that and inspiring others to recognize, hey, what are some dreams I'm pushing down? Maybe it's time to stop pushing them down and start exploring them and taking some actions that will lead me towards living that. And for that could be growing your commissions, giving you that comfort financially to help you then say, the business is going to continue to operate and produce profits, which allow me to go follow my dream, similar to what Ian just shared of his dream of being a stand-up comedian. And from the little that I've interacted with him, I know that it's just a matter of time, because he's got the commitment, he's got the dedication, and you can tell he's got the real world stories that can be transferred into amazing humor that I'm looking forward to seeing in action in Orlando. So the tickets, get your tickets right now. The link will be here. Grab your tickets September 25th through 29th in Orlando, which, by the way, is not a bad place to go. If you are bringing yourself or your family, have fun. Stick around for a day or two. Hang around Orlando for a bit. And guess what? Other marketers will be there as well. So it's going to be great time in the room, great time networking, great time at dinners and all that fun stuff, and great time at the bar. And Ian, I thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. I'm excited to see you at Commission Expo
Yeah,
2000.
I'm excited to go. It'll be fun. I'm really excited just to do the stand-up alone. It's going to be a really good time. I think we'll have a lot of fun. And then to get to speak the next day will be really exciting. So I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Me too. Thank you for your time. I will see you in Orlando for Commission Expo, September 25th through 29th. Get your tickets now, and I will see you there as Ian will. Till then,
Awesome.
great.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Bye for now.